Hello guys, welcome back to one more video session. In this session, I'll be talking about linkage and recombination. Oh, okay, it's genetics part 2. Okay, so whatever we have studied, like kind of the theory oriented concepts. Now, actually, we are into the practicals. Like, okay, we are going to study about the linkage, like how exactly the genes are arranged within a chromosome. Okay, so what if the genes fails to separate during the gamete formation? Then what will happen in the offspring? Or what if if there is any problem with the chromosome or gene, that is mutation, what kind of diseases or disorders the offspring will suffer from. Okay, so many things we are going to talk about it in genetics part 2, but within the same chapter, that is principles of inheritance and variation. Fine. After the work of the Theodore Boveri and Walter Sutton in 1902, and finally they proposed a chromosomal theory of inheritance, and but still they also couldn't give any physical proof that genes obviously they separate or they actually travel within the gamete and ultimately reach the offspring. Okay, if they reach the offspring, how exactly they express. Okay, so it's like have you heard about buy one get one? Okay, so that's it. For example, like we can take one good example. Here, let us assume that these two are the genes, fine, genes present in one chromosome. Let us assume that my hand is the chromosome, okay, and one gene is present here, the other one is here. I cannot manage, okay, so like this, okay, like this. And so during the gamete formation, obviously before that the meiosis occurs and the crossing over occurs, obviously that means there is a high possibility that this pink color gene could shift to another chromosome, that is homologous itself, okay, where the green color retain there itself on this chromosome, correct. Okay, as a result, like shuffling takes place, and this could go to one gamete and this could go to other gamete, correct. We have learned it so far. What if the genes are situated very close? The pink color genes are responsible for pink color, like let us say pink color eye, and this one, the green color, is responsible for green color body. Okay, so different genes for different characters. Okay, if they are present very close to each other, you could see that they are almost linked with each other. Actually, correct. The genes are almost linked. That means if you look into the chromosome, they are like highly, like they are situated very close to each other, like this. Okay, so now the question is, during what you call the crossing over, obviously a segment should be transferred, that is shuffling takes place, like transferred to another homologous pair. Obviously what will happen, along with the pink color one, the green color one shift, whereas this chromosome will not have the pink or green color one, or if they have, it could be recessive or it could be dominant, correct. That's the thing to remember here. That means one offspring will show complete parental type, that is the pink color eye and green color body, whereas the other offspring will show a recombinant type. That's it. Recombinant means a variation. That's it. Linkage means parental type. If the offspring show exactly parental type, phenotype or genotype. Recombination is when the genotype changes, obviously the phenotype also changes, correct. So that is actually the thing. Okay, so in 1908, after around like 6 years of the proposal of chromosomal theory of inheritance, a famous scientist, even actually he won the Nobel Prize for his experiments, okay, so on genetics. The name of the scientist is Thomas Hunt Morgan. We just call him as like T.H. Morgan. Okay, Thomas Hunt Morgan. He is also called as the father of modern genetics. Okay, modern genetics. Remember T.H. Morgan, father of modern genetics. Okay, and along with his colleagues, the co-workers, and even the co-worker, in the sense in those days even his students also, like they were involved in the experiment conducted by T.H. Morgan. Out of many students, one student, a very smart student called Alfred Stuart Went, actually he discovered that the distance between the two genes nowadays is very useful in sequencing any type of genetic sequence or the DNA sequence, actually. Okay, for example, the coronavirus. See, because of that gene maps invented or discovered by the discovered by Alfred Stuart Went, the student of this fellow T.H. Morgan. Nowadays, for example, the coronavirus, correct? You know that medicine for coronavirus is still actually undergoing. The process is going on, but it's still difficult. But maybe because of that, the invention by that Alfred Stuart Went, not invention, come on, discovery. Okay, so finally, ultimately, And now we can actually get to know how exactly the genes are arranged within the coronavirus. That's it. Okay, so because of that, it's easy nowadays. It's very very easy nowadays. Okay, so we can easily say, okay, this gene is situated here, which is responsible for some disease. This gene is situated here, okay, which is not causing any disease, like that. So we can come to the actual point that which gene is causing disease. That's what actually happening nowadays actually. Okay, so fine. T.H. Morgan actually conducted a series of experiments on by taking one material, that is for his experimental material, particular subject, that is Drosophila. Okay, I think you people have heard about the fruit flies, correct? You might have seen it also. The fruit flies. The scientific name is the Drosophila. I will underline it. Melanogaster. Okay, Melanogaster. Drosophila melanogaster. Okay, so he selected Drosophila melanogaster, that is the fruit fly. Nowadays, it is also called as the Cinderella of genetics. That there is a reason. You may get a question like, why T.H. Morgan selected Drosophila melanogaster for his experiments on linkage and recombination. Simple. Say, if you are a scientist and if you want to conduct any experiment, you prefer any subject which should be easily available, correct? Okay, and it should be easy to handle also, and it should be cost effective also, correct? These are all the things you take consider to when you select a particular subject or any organism for your experiment. That's it. Okay, so very simple reason. Let me just write why Drosophila melanogaster was selected by the Thomas Hunt Morgan and his colleagues for the linkage and recombination. Please remember it, very important. We'll just write the number one point is Drosophila melanogaster is a fruit fly and which can be easily grown in any kind of synthetic media. You know what is a synthetic media? Very simple. You take a flask. Okay, so this is the flask, and you put the Drosophilus. Okay, so these are all tiny Drosophila. See, within a small flask actually you could put around millions of Drosophila, because the Drosophilus are very very tiny actually. You might have seen it. Yes, you have seen it. Okay, it's very common. The fruit flies. Okay, they are everywhere. Okay, that means we can easily grow them within a synthetic media. Okay, that's it. It's easy to grow within a synthetic media. That's one reason why he selected. The other reason is obviously you cannot wait for too long to get a result. You need it within like a month. Okay, so that you can continue your experiments. Okay, so it will be not time consuming. Same way actually the life cycle of Drosophila is around 2 weeks. Okay, so that's easy. Within 2 weeks, actually, the life cycle will be completed. That means within 2 weeks, obviously, the one mate between a male and a female Drosophila will produce thousands of offspring. You get thousands of offspring. So that is actually the one of the reason. Okay, obviously, right? Here a cross between one character, one Drosophila with a particular character with another Drosophila with another character. Obviously, you have to get at least 10 offsprings to know on what basis the characters are actually transmitted within the offspring. That's it. Okay, that's what Mendelian's experiment, like 9, okay, is to 3, is to 3, is to 1, like that. Okay, so within one mate he could get thousands of offsprings. Okay, so next is the fourth one is if you look into the Drosophila, you can easily distinguish between the male and female. So you can easily say, okay, so this is male Drosophila. Okay, so another thing is like when you see another Drosophila, you can say with, okay, so this is female. So you can easily distinguish the sex of the Drosophila, whether it is a male Drosophila or female Drosophila, because you could see the morphology or morphological characters. Based on the morphological characters, you can distinguish between male and female. So that's easy, right? And if you want to have a cross, you just select and pick one male Drosophila and pick one female Drosophila having different character and put it in the flask. That's it. They mate. You get thousands of offspring. Then actually check the offspring to see how many of them are having the parental type and how many of them are showing the variation, that is recombination. Okay, so that's easy. The next one, the fifth one is how do you see the characters in the offspring? It's very difficult because, as I said, like these Drosophilus are tiny. But see here, he did not select any bacteria or virus to conduct his experiments. He went for the Drosophila. Obviously, it is, even though it is minute, but still it is visible. Okay, we can see it through the naked eye itself. simple microscope, like what we say, the compound microscope. Okay, so with the help of the simple microscope, he could see the characters, that is the morphological characters. So these are all the 5 points he considered, and ultimately he selected the Drosophila melanogaster, that is the fruit flies. Now some facts about Drosophila melanogaster. How many chromosomes are there in Drosophila? Okay, how many chromosomes do we have? 46 chromosomes. That is 22 pairs of homologous chromosome, and then one X chromosome and one Y chromosome, that is male in male. Whereas in female, one X and other X, that is the sex chromosome. Okay, so fine. So here, if you just for example, we'll go with the Drosophila chromosome. Okay, so normally the chromosome number 1, that is you see 2 homologous chromosomes, they are large chromosomes, and after that the size reduces. Okay, this is the second pair, and this is the third pair, and ultimately when it comes to the fourth pair, in the case of male, see, and what is interesting is, in the case of the insects, majority of the insects, including the Drosophila also, the male determines the sex of the offspring. That means male exhibit heterogamety. What is the meaning of heterogamety? Heterogamety means if the gamete, I'm considering male gamete here, the sperms. Okay, you could see a balloon shaped structure, that is nothing but sperm. Okay, either it contains X chromosome like us, or either it contains Y chromosome, that is called as male heterogamety. Okay, whereas in the case of female, in humans, gametes exhibit homogamety. That means either of the ovum or ova contains only X chromosome. That's it. Because females have XX chromosome as sex chromosome, whereas in the case of males it is X or Y chromosome. X and Y chromosome. Okay. So if I talk about the male, obviously this is actually the arrangement, and ultimately the last one, the fourth pair, is X and Y. One thing to remember here, I am going to use a different term here from here onwards, that is hemizygous. So we know about homozygous or heterozygous, or homologous, heterologous. Okay, in this case, it is kind of hemizygous, okay, or hemilogous, but I prefer hemizygous. Okay, so it is hemizygous. That means, see, this X, I am talking about the sex chromosome, the last one. Okay, in Drosophila, the fourth one. In human beings, it is actually the 23rd pair. Okay, so the sex chromosome, X doesn't have its pair. Correct. X, another X is missing here. So for X, it is hemizygous. If I talk about Y, for this Y, another Y is not there. So another Y is absent. So for Y, it is hemizygous. So X is hemizygous, Y is also hemizygous. So we call it as hemizygous. Okay, in case of males particularly. In the Drosophila also you could see hemizygous condition here. Ultimately, if you count how many chromosomes are there in Drosophila, 8. That is 4 pairs of chromosomes are there. How many autosomes are there? 3 pairs of autosomes, that is 6 autosomes, and 1 pair of allosomes. That is, in the case of male it is XY, in the case of female it is XX. XY is hemizygous condition, in this case it is homozygous condition, correct, or homologous condition. That's it. Okay, so this is the basic thing to understand. Now what I am going to do is I will erase this, and we'll see what is exactly linkage and recombination. We first draw the diagram of Drosophila so that we can easily see its morphological characters or traits. Okay, it's very easy. Now what I'm going to do is, first we draw the eyes. Okay, thorax and abdomen. Okay, so looks like honeybee, but it's very, very small, obviously insect, right? Okay, so here what I'm going to do is put the wings. Okay, fine, sure. So this is the wing, and I'm going to draw one more Drosophila, because the cross is between male and female Drosophila. So okay, let us consider this as male Drosophila and the other one as female Drosophila. Okay, first we put the eyes. Okay, sure, fine. Okay, you could see the difference now. looks bigger in size and this is smaller in size. Here I am not taking a size as character, or T.H. Morgan did not consider a size as one of his character for his experiment. Okay, simple, it's very easy. Here I just I'll consider this as male now. Okay, so this is male and this one is female. The cross has to happen between this with this. Okay, and he conducted the same also. And in the case of male, actually, he considered certain characters. Like, he took eye color as one of the character. Okay, so this particular one is normally seen characters. Okay, in the population of Drosophila. So we take it as the dominant traits. Okay, we'll write it the dominant, right? See, in the case of Drosophila, the dominant means it is also called as the wild type. What is the mean? You like whenever you get any neat question regarding like wild type. See, what is wild type? Wild type is nothing but the dominant type. If you consider a population of Drosophila, okay, very simple actually. You take a bottle and put some Drosophila inside. Okay, so just leave it for about 1 week. Obviously, lifespan is 2 weeks. Okay, 1 week is enough to produce a lot of offsprings. The mating will happen between males and females within the flask. Okay, so the number increases. Okay, it's full of crowd, and after that, what you have to do is like you just put chloroform. Okay, in the sense like not liquid, just dip it in the take a cotton and dip it in the chloroform, and then just put like on the top of that flask. And obviously, like they become unconscious, and after that just put it on a paper sheet and then actually start seeing its characters. Okay, so majority, that is 98% will have the wild type, that is dominant type. What are the characters like which are dominant? That's what Thomas Morgan actually considered some characters, that is they're all dominant characters. Here I'm gonna write, I'm using pink color, but the dominant Drosophila will have red eye color. I don't have red color, so I'm using pink color. Okay, so the eye color is red. Okay, so for dominant, I will I'll write white type here, WT, that is dominant. If you take eye color, so that eye color is red. Okay, so red is now the eye color of the Drosophila, which is a wild type. We normally see in Drosophilas. Okay, the eye color is red. And here, this is genetics. A cross should happen. Obviously, like you have to use maths here. So we have to give one designation. So we denote red by let us say like W plus. I have written small w plus. Okay, so W plus is a like red eye color which is dominant, that is wild type. Okay, so red. And then he considered one more character in the same Drosophila, that is the body color is brown. Okay, so what we are going to do is, I don't have brown color, so I am using the green color. Okay, the body color of this Drosophila is brown. Okay, so the dominant character, that is the body color, the dominant, right, that is the wild type, is brown. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to denote this brown by writing Y plus. W plus for red, which is dominant, whereas brown is Y plus, that is dominant body color. Okay, so we call it as wild type. If you see any Drosophila with the two characters, that is a red eye with the brown body, obviously it is wild type. That is very, very common actually, very common. Okay, so see here, my characters, when I compare it with the other humans, obviously the characters are same, correct? If any person who is having extra finger, then obviously it is polydactylity, so that is different. He is a variation, like he is exhibiting variation, whereas me is like normal. I am wild type, correct? Okay, so in this case, he considered one more character, that is actually the size of the wing. In this case, this is actually the normal wing size. Okay, so here I just write the wing size. What is the size of the wing size? Okay, so that is normal. See, not large. I have not written large. It is normal. Normal is like, so if you see red eyes, brown body and normal wing size, then obviously it is wild type. Okay, it's very common actually. In the nature, you will find 98% of wild type of Drosophila. Only 1 to 2% show the mutation. That means, I have to consider this female as a mutant. What is the meaning of mutant? Mutant. Mutant means, a slight variation. See, there are so many variations occur. If the mutation, like sometimes I said in my earlier class, that the mutation could be dangerous or it could be good. Okay, in this case it's a type of like harmless mutation. So obviously it only changed the morphological character of the organism without causing harm to the organism. That is, like in this case, mutation has not created any mess in the organism. It did not produce any disease in the organism. It's good, kind of good mutation. So this is wild type. Then obviously this female should be considered as the mutant. Okay, we use white color here. The mutant. Okay, fine. So in the mutant, that is actually, mutant is nothing but recessive. You don't often see them in the population of the Drosophila. Very rare case. Recessive. Okay, it's a mutant. Remember it, wild type is always dominant, whereas mutant is always recessive. You don't see them very often. So the color of that eye, the mutant eye, in this case it is female Drosophila. Even it could be seen in male Drosophila also, whatever it is. The color is white. Okay, so for the mutant type, that is the recessive type, the eye color, I just write EC, is white. So I am going to write only W here. Okay, so a bit confusing whenever we write first W, then we write small capital W and small w, then obviously W is the first character, that is always dominant. But in this case it is different, so you have to understand it. I have given W plus. W plus means it is normal, natural and dominant. If I don't write plus here, that is recessive in the case of Drosophila. That is according to T.H. Morgan. That's it. It varies from person to person actually. Even actually, you can give any kind of alphabets according to you. Okay, it depends. Okay, eye color is white. If you look into the body color, another character, that is also because of the mutation, the color is white, yellow. Okay, the body color is yellow. Okay, so here I write BC, the body color is yellow for a mutant. So I'm going to write small y. Okay, even you can write capital W plus or capital W, doesn't matter. Okay, y. Okay, small y. Okay, then I'm going to consider the wing size. Wing size. Okay, oh, I did not write. Okay, fine. Wing size. What is the wing size here? See the difference. This is normal wing size, and in this case, it is miniature, small wings. So that wing size, as the wing size reduces, obviously it looks tiny Drosophila, even though the body size remains the same in male or female. But whenever you see a Drosophila with the small wings, obviously it looks like miniature, tiny one. Okay, it's like kind of illusion. Okay, so we write miniature. Miniature. Wing is miniature, so we give a designation, that is small m. And in this case, what should I write? Can you say m plus? Correct. Okay, that is normal actually. So that's it. So we have to use only 3 characters. What is interesting is, let me tell you, whatever the characters which is selected by T.H. Morgan, all these genes responsible for these characters which are present on the Drosophila's X chromosome. Remember it, very important. Whereas the Mendel conducted a lot of experiments, but he did not consider the gamete, that is X chromosome. He considered only autosomes. At that time he was unaware about it, and after that also many scientists conducted a lot of experiments, but no one actually took the genes which are responsible for a character, for a certain character, which were present on X chromosome. T.H. Morgan for the first time actually conducted experiments on the X chromosome of Drosophila. Okay, so X chromosome, that means actually if it is a female, then obviously 2x. If it is a male, obviously only 1x. Correct. I cannot consider Y because Y doesn't contain any genes responsible for these characters. That means these characters should be, the genes responsible for these characters should be present within these X chromosome. That is, how many loci will be there in one X chromosome? Obviously, if you take 3 characters, if I draw it here, Okay, so this is now one X chromosome. Okay, so the eye color gene locus is present here. That is, the eye color gene is present here. Okay, then actually the body color. Okay, I'm going with the recessive one here now. One is dominant, the recessive doesn't matter. It will mix. Okay, in this case, actually, it is present just below it. Okay, or maybe somewhere else. The other one, that is, I'm using white color. That is the wing size, could be present here. Correct. So you could see three genes present on different locus on a same chromosome. Correct. X chromosome. That's it. That means the X chromosome is crucial for determining the eye color, body color, and wing size in Drosophila. That's it. Whereas Y will not play any role, but still Y is very important in particular organism, that male organism. Y doesn't contain any genes for it, for this character, but Y contains some other genes, but for this concept it is not necessary. Got it? Y actually determines the sex of the organism. In human sex determination, I'm going to talk about what kind of genes it has. Okay, so this is the very important basics to know, because we have to deal with many examples. If you don't understand the basics, then it's very difficult. Okay, let me not take a lengthy session, so I will just first post this video, and after that maybe tomorrow I think I'll go with linkage, or I'll give you the definition of linkage and recombination, and after that the next video session will be like experiments. Okay, so that means makes it's like you get a time, and so that you can practice first, then actually get ready for the experiment. Okay, not you. Okay, you to understand the experiment. Okay, here yeah. Suppose we know the basics. I think I will use here. We know the basics. This is female. This is male. Here I am not going to write any autosomes. Okay, during the gamete formation, one X will be given by the female mother. Obviously, mother female. Okay, XY, that is actually given here. In this case, heterogamety will be seen. The sperm will contain either X chromosome or Y chromosome, but the ovum will contain only X chromosome. Okay. Now let us assume that here actually you could see I'm going to take two characters at a time. I will not take three characters at a time because it's confusing. So we take only red color and brown color. Let us assume that the female is recessive mutant type. That is actually here you could see the white and yellow. So that means small w and small y I have to write in one chromosome. Obviously on the other X chromosome the same w and small y will be present. Whereas here on this X chromosome, what is there? W plus and Y plus will be there. Okay. So obviously in this case it's very easy now. I'm talking about this gamete that is having WY, and this one is having only W plus and Y plus. Correct. Okay. If in the F2 generation, we will understand it when I go with the experiment. In F2 generation, if you get around like 90+% of the parental type, okay, the parental type means this is actually the parent, this is also parent. That means you have to get minimum this phenotype and this phenotype, okay, which is more than 90%. That means the genes which is this one, I'm talking about these genes, that is W plus or Y plus or maybe M plus, whatever it is, okay, goes to the offspring, and the offsprings also exhibit the parental type. That clearly indicates that during the crossing over these genes fails to separate, and as a result all the genes shifted to other chromosomal piece, that is homologous one. Okay, so that means buy one get one. That means if supposed to be W plus goes to the another one, okay, it has to go to the another chromosome, but along with that Y plus also goes, because the distance between the two genes are very close actually. That means actually if I pick one, obviously this also comes along with that. Okay, so it's very difficult to cut it. Okay, so I'll show you with one model also later. Okay, so as a result the parental type will be more, correct? I think you can think logically. Okay, that means it is linkage. What is linkage? The physical association between the two different genes. Okay, physical association means if I talk about this is one gene and this is another gene. See the distance between the two genes. Let us consider this as A, this as B. So between the two genes, the linkage is more. It is stronger actually. Because of like what we say, there is no gap obviously. or A and B will go to the offspring. It cannot be segregated during gamete formation. So that means called as linkage. What is linkage? Physical association between two different genes on a chromosome, on the same chromosome. Okay, so that's it. Recombination is, for example, in a chromosome, this is one locus on the same chromosome and this is another locus. This is A for a particular character, this is B for another character. You could see distance. You could see the distance between A and B. That means A could be shifted to another homologous pair, B will remain as it is, or B will be shifted to another one, A will remain as it is. That means you could see segregation is easy in this case. That is, if they separate from each other, obviously what you see is variation, correct? So one offspring will have A, another offspring will have B. That's it. But in this case, both A and B will go into the same offspring. That's it. So this is actually recombination. What is recombination? It is actually the variation in the offspring. Okay. So variation in the offspring due to gaps or due to the distance between the genes, that is recombination. Okay, recombination means non-parental type, linkage is parental type. I want to tell you one more thing that I forgot to tell. Whatever the experiment which was conducted by T.H. Morgan and his colleagues, obviously they considered the characters or genes which is present on the X chromosome. It is also, if you are considering any characters which is present on the sex chromosome, then obviously it is called as sex-linked inheritance. So you may get a question, who actually conducted experiments on sex-linked inheritance for the first time? T.H. Morgan, because he considered X chromosome. Sex-linked inheritance means it is also called as X-linked inheritance. X is sex chromosome. So we can also call it as sex-linked inheritance. Okay, so that's it. But precisely we say X-linked inheritance for T.H. Morgan because he considered the genes which is present on the X chromosome. Even actually, hypertrichosis, for example, like you could see the hair growth in male, that is due to some genes which is present on only Y chromosome, whereas female doesn't exhibit the hypertrichosis, that is hair growth on the ears. Okay, so that is Y-linked inheritance. Okay, it is also known, can we call it as sex-linked inheritance? For that, yes. So you have to understand, sex-linked means it could be X or it could be Y. In this case, there are two types, X-linked or Y-linked within sex-linked. So we considered X-linked inheritance. Okay, so that's all about from this concept. Let us see in the next session. I'm going to talk about the experiment conducted by T.H. Morgan.